This call is being recorded.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the Nation of Islam, Allah's Temple number one, and the War of Christ. I am opening this meeting in the name of Allah, who appeared and is in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
And with the Farad prayer. Surely I have turned myself, being upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayers, my sacrifices, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, and this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me to the best of morals, for none guides to the best of them but thee, and turns away from me the evil morals but thee. Amen. And with my meditation to Master Farad Muhammad. The Lord is my shepherd, I want not. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, he leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul, he leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies, thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life, and I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Today we are continuing with our reading of The Fall of America by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the order will go as follows. Naeem will read Resurrection of Our People on page 43. I will read Opposers of Truth on page 47. Kamal will read Deceivers and the Deceived from page 50 to page 52. Amaria will read Deceivers and the Deceived from page 53 to page 55. And Sister Rebecca will read Evil Spreading Far and Wide on page 56. And we will start with Daim reading Resurrection of Our People, page 43.
This is Minister Daim of the Nation of Islam, Allah Supper number one. The resurrection of our people. The old world must be removed to make way for the new world. There is a universal struggle being waged by the old world against the beginning of the new world. Will the old world's opposition prevent the establishment of the new world? According to recorded history, the efforts being made by the old world against the beginning of a new world will fail, as did former opponents of Allah. According to the history of Noah, the people ridiculed the very thought of Allah bringing a flood to drown them. Noah was laughed at and scorned for preaching such a doctrine. According to the Bible and Holy Quran, he was called a liar and looked upon as a crazy person. Some of the members of Noah's family joined the mockers and disbelievers of Allah and his messenger, who was Noah. They met the same fate as the others who disbelieved. The opposition of that world to the advent of a better world was a total failure. So shall it be with those today who oppose the beginning of a new world of righteousness, Islam. In the time of Abraham and his nephew Lot, before the birth of Ishmael and Isaac, Abraham's two sons, the people, mockers and haters of truth and righteousness in that part of the world, the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, had become victimized to every imaginable evil. They even threatened the life of the preacher of righteousness, Lot, disregarding the strangers, angels, visiting Lot, until it was too late. So it is with the opponents of the messenger of Allah today in America. The wicked always believe they are mightier than Allah, and they make a supreme effort to thwart the plan and purpose of Allah to bring about a better world. They always love to attack the messenger to try to condemn him as a liar. Trying to prove the messenger a liar means calling Allah a liar. The Holy Quran repeatedly prophesies a miserable, shameful, and disgraceful defeat for the disbelievers and and hypocrites in their campaign against the last messenger of Allah, whom Allah would raise in the time of the resurrection of the dead people. Messengers are never sent. They always are raised in the midst of those whom Allah would warn, so they can't claim that they did not understand the language of the messenger, or say that he was a foreigner or stranger. The messenger is one from them. For nearly 34 years I have served you, just as Allah's warners of old served a hard-hearted and hard-headed disbelieving people, who were great lovers of the enemies of Allah and the true religion, Islam, which means entire submission to Allah's will. There is mockery, and evil plans are made against my life by the wicked, just as they were made against Noah and subsequent prophets. The powerful, rich world of Christianity, especially America, is made to seem as immovable as the mountains, but it is not impossible to remove mountains. They can be removed by high explosives, so wealth and power also can be reduced to nothing. We are now living in the judgment, or doom, of the white man's world. Preparations have been made to meet every effort by the white man to oppose the beginning and setting up of Allah's new world of righteousness, Islam. The government, United States of America, today watches my followers with an evil eye, seeking to deceive anyone who would enter the fold to help further the cause of truth and the upliftment of the mourning heads and the grieving hearts of the American so-called Negroes, to help make them a nation of righteousness and justice, to serve as a star for the nations of their own kind forever. The U.S. government is active in its deceitful work of trying to slow the progress of the resurrection of our people. American whites want us to reject Allah and the true religion, Islam, and believe in their false religion and false God, whom they cannot make manifest to you. They cannot prove to you, in this day and time, that Christianity is a defense for you, as well as for themselves, against their doom. America must be taken and destroyed, according to the prophets, at the time and end of the wicked world, where the lost and found members of the ancient and aboriginal people are found. America hates and mistreats her slaves to the extent that it has reached the hearts of Allah. It has reached the heart of Allah and the righteous people of the earth, the nation of Islam. We read where our black brothers refer to the American so-called Negroes as their brothers, while according to the preachings of some of these lost and found members of the aboriginal nation of the earth, they would rather have themselves referred to as the brothers of their enemies. The extent to which the enemy has poisoned the minds and hearts of my people here in America is shameful. They willfully do anything to deceive the so-called Negroes into going to their doom with them. There is no way for the enemy of Allah, his messenger, and his people, the darker people of the earth, to find strength, power, and wisdom enough to win in a war against Allah, as it is written in the Christian Bible and many other places. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Bible, Peter chapter 3, verse 10. The earth shall not be burned. It will be here for many thousands of years to come. Only that on the earth the devils which has sinned against Allah and his laws will be destroyed. The earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars have never disobeyed Allah since their creation. Amen.
This is Minister Rafiq of the Nation of Islam, Allah's Temple number 1. Chapter 11, Opposers of Truth. Adam and Eve, the father and mother of the white race, Yaqub is the real name, refused the religion of Islam, peace, because of the nature in which they were made. This makes it impossible for the white race to submit to Allah and obey his law of righteousness. This, the lost found members of the Asiatic nation from the tribe of Shabazz must learn of the white race. But it is a waste of time to seek mercy and justice from a people who by nature do not have it for each other. They talk and preach the goodness of God and his prophets only to deceive you, who by nature are the God of righteousness. into following them away from our God to a God who does not exist. Our future is at stake, and 99% of us do not know it. With ever evil snoopers around you seeking an excuse to do their worst to you makes it hard for the 99% ignorant to ever know the truth. Their greatest desire is to prevent you from ever accepting the truth. They claim the truth to be subversive and hate teachings. They seek any kind of charge to place against us to get revenge for our preaching of the truth. They tap our telephones, eavesdrop on us, and follow us around from place to place and use tape recording machines. And the hypocrites and stool pigeons among us keep them up to date on what we say and do. They are bold enough to even ask your own relatives to help them to do you evil. And due to fear and ignorance on the part of my poor people, the enemies hire them to destroy themselves. The truth hurts the guilty. Will persecuting and murdering the truth bearer help the evildoers in this late hour of the day, the end of their time? Our problem must be solved, saith Allah, the God of righteousness, who is with you and me to raise up the poor, lost-found members of the original owners of the planet Earth, the tribe of Shabazz. A good solution is as follows. Stop opposing the spread of Islam, peace, among us. Let us go back to our God, Allah, and our religion of Islam, peace. Since you will not give us, the so-called Negroes, equal justice, and do not want social mixing with your free slaves because of degrading and lowering your own status in the eyes of the world, help us to go for ourselves, either out or in your country. For 400 years, we have served you with our labor, sweat, and blood, the lash of your whip, your killings, lynchings, and burning of our innocent black flesh, without even a hearing in a court of justice, nor even our murderers being punished. Although we are marched before your enemies, and there we pour out our lives for the freedom of your lives, children, and country, we return home to meet an even worse enemy. We are hated and kicked out in certain places like an unwanted dog who has caught the game but was not given a taste of it, only that which the hunter could not and should not eat himself. The dog, being too ignorant to recognize the injustice done to him by his master, will jump to his feet again at the call of his master to offer his life for the master's life. This we have and so are doing for you. We are not wanted in your better neighborhoods. In many places, we have to be guarded and protected by your armed forces in order to live in a house which one of your kind has sold to us. Yet we are the most peaceful and humblest of the population. We are taxed equally and perhaps more than those of our own kind, who are the real citizens and owners of this country, America, though our labor and the labor of our fathers made and built it for you. Think it over. Millions of us working, fighting, and dying at your hand and others for 400 years without a home which we can call our own, not being allowed to worship our God, religion, nor have unity among ourselves and our kind without being charged with the worst of crimes, subversiveness, sedition, treason, and seeking to overthrow the government by force, though we have no arms to do such, just to have an excuse for your persecuting and seeking to kill the same poor 400-year-old slave. Amen. This is Master Kamal Muhammad in the Mission of Islam, Last Chapter number 1. Chapter 12. Deceivers and the Deceived. We, the whole nation of the lost-found members of the Black nation in America, must remember that for the past 400 years we have been reared by the enemies of our fathers. According to their own history, bringing us from our native land and people into the Western Hemisphere was not for the purpose of making themselves friendly people to us and our nation, but to deceive us as being that which they actually were not a friend and advisor to us, while at the same time depriving us of truth, justice, and equality even now after 400 years of servitude, slavery. We must remember that the deceiver actually has deceived us. The coming of God in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praises is due forever, is to make manifest this arch deceiver's work against us, and to acquaint us with the nature of the arch deceiver, that deceit is part of his very nature. He, Allah, comes to give us the knowledge of the God of evil, who had freedom for the past 6,000 years to deceive not only you and me, but also the entire nations of the earth.
This is the greatest salvation that God Allah could bring to you and me, to know the source of our trouble and its cause. The power of the manifester is to remove this cause which has affected the black nation for 6,000 years. It is worth the heaven and the earth to us when we agree on not trying to make them our friends, which by nature they cannot be, even if they wanted to. Only a few have the belief of goodness. By nature they are not good, but they can practice goodness. Our predicament and position makes us the victim of deceit of these great scientific deceivers, the white race. They put us to sleep as babies, and they know the type of noise that which Allah, in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad, has made. And He, Allah, has missioned me to continue to make that noise until all of our people are fully awakened from the slumber of the arch deceiver of the nations of the earth. Surely not all are really working to keep us blind, deaf, and dumb to the knowledge of the deceiver, but the few would help us endanger their own lives in trying to help us. As you see, the Christian priest Gropi in Milwaukee, who professes to be trying to help those who want to live next door in the house of the children of our father's slave master, is having trouble. Even this easily can be classified as deceitful work against true freedom, justice, and equality for our people. This priest Gropi is having trouble among other open vicious haters of you and me, of his kind. This priest wants to help the poor black man here in America, especially in Milwaukee, to accept false friendship, to forever be at their mercy to rule spiritually, economically, and politically. He is not trying to teach the black man that they should not want to sell themselves back to the slave master for a morsel of pottage. The priest knows by the scriptures in his Bible that the time is right for the total freedom of the 400-year-old slave of the white man to go to his own earth. The priest is wise to you, that you should have a place to live wherever you want. He would not have dared teach this openly before this day and time, the end of this world. The other are so evil and vicious to do us harm that the great gangs of white people out in the streets will attack one poor black man going through the area in his car and will yell, "Get the nigger." This is a coward's action of the white man in America, ever since we have been here, going after the so-called Negro to do him harm. He always wants 100 whites to attack that one Negro. This shows cowardice and the savage instinct of the white race against black people. The black man can put a stop to such attackers of this evil force. But it is not the way of Allah God. It is not the way of the prediction, as the priest knows. The coming of Allah in search for the black lost members of their nation today is to make himself known, so he can conquer our captors by using weapons against which they have no power. He, Allah, will bring attacks of divine judgment of the world without the use of contrived weapons. The weapons of war used by God in the past history of the destruction of the enemies of God, such as Noah's people, Lot's people, and Moses' people, are an example of what he will use today. The weapons are the forces of nature against which we have no defense. America is under such divine attack now in storms as rain, hail, and earthquakes. The latter is yet to take place. A terrific drought is on its way, too, against America. The book must be fulfilled. The Bible and Holy Quran both refer to all that I have said. Amen.
This is Minister Amaria Muhammad of the Nation of Islam, Al-Aqsa. This is the divine judgment to bring vicious America to her knees. She, America, hates the people of God, and the Negroes do. Now know that they are really the people of God. This is the great truth that you must come into the knowledge of, that you are a member of the family of God and not a member of the family of the devil. But you follow the devil, contrary to your own nature. The natural man, black, is of God himself. We have been deceived of righteousness, justice, and equality by the arch-deceiver. We have been taken from the knowledge of self as being the true people of God, and that God is present, seeking us to place us again into the orbit of the divine supreme being, where we can rotate into submission to the will of God as the entire universe is doing. except the white race. We cannot set up a better government for our people by using the corrupt political activities of this people, the arch deceivers. All of their work was based upon deceiving the nation, not to bring them into friendly brotherhood and prosperity for the black man. Even today, after 100 years of the so-called freedom, he is still against you going free. This is your trouble today. You are deceived, and deceived by the enemy you think is a friend. But take note of what he offers you. He is offering you only temporary enjoyment, and not a permanent enjoyment for your people. We want some of this earth, and not a temporary room in the house of our enemy. Let the political and spiritual leaders unite on such a stand as getting some earth for the people, and not getting just a job and a chance to loll around, sleeping and allowing the enemy to protect our responsibility for self. We must bear our own responsibility. This the God of justice and truth will force you to do before he will be defeated. His purpose and aim is to reunite us to our own. He will fight the arch deceiver with the forces of nature and with his own wisdom, which has no equal, to make you and the enemy bow to his will. This is the judgment of the world, and especially of the white man in America, who has been here for 400 years, living between the two oceans, the Atlantic and the Pacific, to do as he pleases. The slave is deprived of the freedom to do as he pleases, but to do as the slave master pleases. Our great misunderstanding of self and of others lies in the deceit of the arch deceiver of us. They will never teach you and me to do good for self, only under their own power and dictatorship. What we need is to unite, not demanding and marching all over the country to live near the white man in his home, but demand a separate place for us in this country and help us with the means of civilization, as he had to get started, limiting the time to get started within the next 20 or 25 years. Many scientists think that it is too late for this demand because of the anger of Allah God against America for her evil done to us. But Allah has power over all things, and he does that which he wills to do. It is up to America. If she wants to help us, it will be a great good, putting us on the way to self, by any evil one or nation. The God of justice will grant them a reward for doing such, as no good act goes without its reward. They deceived the so-called Negro under temptation, filth, indecency, and a promise that they will be given jobs and new homes next door to them, in the same territory which their very nature is against, and which is without any future. It is temporary enjoyment. We want something permanent. Give us a few of these tastes to live in to ourselves, which we have well earned with 400 years of free labor. When he sees that his life and your life are at stake to try to accept the present plans filled with deceit to the Negro, both you and he will welcome an opportunity to agree on the kind of program. Unite with me, Black America, for your salvation. Amen.
Sister Rebecca, are you there?
Something wrong with my speaker.
Oh, it's fine.
Chapter 13, Evil Spreading Far and Wide. Never since the creation of Adam and Eve have there been such chaotic times as we are witnessing today. With the worst yet to come, there is no peace among the nations of the earth. The only few people who enjoy peace of mind and contentment in this day and time are the elite of God. Though they are persecuted from city to city and falsely accused and denied the credit due them because of their righteousness in the midst of the wicked who have ruled the world. By no means can the righteous be represented for their righteous sake by the evildoers of the world. God is displeased, despised, and rejected. Evil is accepted and honored. Justice stands afar off, and iniquity cannot come in, says the prophet Isaiah in the Bible. The Holy Quran warns us to fear a day when evil is spread far and wide in the days of God's presence at the end of the satanic world to bring it to a knot. Allah God causes the evil word to be upset, since they have been the enemies of peace and haters and destroyers of the righteous, who have brought them peace if they accepted those worthy, the prophets, but they rejected all. Jesus charged them with being the murderers of the righteous from Abel to Zechariah. We can very well add more and say from Abel to Muhammad. Today, America professes to be the most Christianized country on our planet, but actually is not. She is not. For Christian means to be crystallized into one spiritually. That one refers to Christ. Christ means the one who is coming at the end of the world for the wicked as a crusher. His name actually means one who is anointed to crush the wicked. The real satanic people are the white race, who have disguised themselves to deceive the black people to follow them. They just use the name Christian, which means to be Christ-like. They have set up a head for their religion in Rome, Italy, with the Pope or Father who represents himself as being the intercessor or vice regent, meaning one who is second only to Christ or God, and intercedes for the people's sin and recognition of God, but he has no divine backing. This false regime should not be destroyed by the Christ, the crusher. This false regime should be destroyed by the Christ, the crusher of the wicked, the great Mahdi of Islam, Allah, God in person. These are the days of God or Christ's presence to destroy this evil world with all the deceptions that the people should again labor under a wicked and merciless ruler, the devil. The presence of Allah has upset the devil, who have had and exercised total control of the world under falsehood and have made evil to appear fair seeming. The so-called Christian world has never before displayed such madness as they do today. Since they cannot hide their real wickedness and deceitful ways, they are angry. According to preaching and teaching of the Christianity, they prophesy that they alone will be the happy group that will welcome the coming of the Messiah, the Christ, or the Mahdi. But the Bible condemns them that they were angry and sought to hide their faces from Him, God. It should be clear to you today that Christian America does not want such preachings as entire submission to the will of Allah, God, Islam. The Christians hate the very names of God, such as Muhammad, Omar, Kareem Ali, Hassan, which are attributes of God. That Jesus prophesies that they will hate you for His name's sake, for having one of His names, because the names of God are to live forever. No, the names of God are to live forever. No other people on earth have the names of God but the Muslims. So the coming of the Just One makes manifest to you this evil race of sinners, and they will be against His God's presence, be angered because of Him, and will seek to destroy Him and His messenger, as is prophesied in 2nd Psalm. Amen.
That concludes our reading of The Fall of America by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Our next reading will be on Friday for our Bible study, and the order will go as follows. Daim will read Every Nation Has a Term from page 59 to page 62. I will read from page 63 to page 65. Kamal will read America. Amaria will read Independence Day from page 68 to page 71. Sister Rebecca will read from page 72 to page 74. Daim will read Independence. I will read Slavery in Alabama and Mississippi from page 77 to page 80. Kamal will read from page 81 to page 83. Amaria will read Alabama, and Sister Rebecca will read Decline of the Dollar from page 87 to page 89. And we will now transition over to our Islamic presentations. Do we have any brothers or sisters who would like to present?
Yes, sir.
All right, we will have the Muhammad children give their Islamic presentations, followed by Sister Rebecca, and we will start with Daim's Islamic presentation.
This is Minister Daim of the Nation of Islam, Allah number 1. I did my Islamic presentation on our video titled, When the Son of Man is Revealed, Sunday School with the Son of Man. Turning to the book of Revelations, chapter 12, verses 1 through 5, we can read, And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. God and his throne are in heaven. If the child was caught up to God and his throne, the child ascended to heaven. If the child ascended to heaven, to God and his throne, to the Son of Man's throne. If the child was caught up to God and his throne, the child ascended to heaven. If the child ascended to heaven, to God and his throne, to the Son of Man's throne, who the most honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that he is, then the man-child is the one who will rule the nations with a rod of iron. The child was caught up to God and his throne. According to the 13th verse of the 3rd chapter of John, we read, And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. Jesus is telling us in the gospel that the only one that can ascend to the throne of the Son of Man is the Son of Man. This is the prophecy of a child born in hell, since if you are running for your life from the devil, you must be in hell. According to Jesus' prophecy, if that child is born in hell and ascends to heaven with the Son of Man, then that child is the Son of Man. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that Master Farah Muhammad left heaven, Mecca, and came to hell, America, to teach us and save us. Amen.
This is Minister Rafiq of the Nation of Islam, Allah number 1. I am presenting on the game of life, the Son of Man speaks. The definition of a game is a procedure or strategy for gaining an advantage or an end. 2, a game is a physical or mental competition conducted according to the rules with the participants in direct opposition to each other. 3, a game is an activity that is undertaken or regarded as a contest involving rivalry, strategy, or struggle. 4, game means having or showing resolute, unyielding spirit or willingness and readiness to proceed. Game also means a secret or clever plan. So let's go back to the first definition. A game is a procedure or a strategy for gaining an advantage or an end. That is something that we do every day of our lives. We are always trying to better ourselves and our spiritual, economical, and social statuses. We are always trying to get to a better end. The next definition says that a game is a physical or mental competition conducted according to the rules with the participants in direct opposition to each other. This definition clearly defines our situation with the white man of America. We are in a physical and mental competition with him. A definition of Satan is the chief opposer. So by definition, our relationship with Satan, the devil, is that of a game. The next definition says that a game is an activity that is undertaken or regarded as a contest involving rivalry, strategy, or struggle. The struggle is the war between the black people of the earth and against the white man. There again, by definition, the black struggle in regard to the white man, the devil, is a game. And another definition of game is a secret or clever plan. And that is what the world is full of. Governments and people and relationships, everybody on some level has plans, secret plans, that they execute every day. So this means that if secret plans means games, then people are gaming every day. So if you're a serious person, then you wouldn't be interested in games, but that is an illusion. Because if you're truly serious and mature, then you have to study games because our entire lives are games. Amen. This is Minister Kamal Muhammad of the Nation of Islam, Allah's Temple Number 1. I'll be doing my Islamic presentation on our video titled The Seven Spirits of God and the Hidden One, final lecture. Now, the child that ascended to the throne is now described as a lamb. This makes sense when we consider that a lamb is a baby sheep. Now, remember the highest level of consciousness that you can reach is called the lambda level, or the seventh level. The root word of lambda is the word lamb. The child is called the lamb because the child has reached the seventh level of consciousness. Now, how is the lamb described? If we go back to the book of Revelation, chapter 5, verse 6, we have, "And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne, and the elders, and of the elders, stood a lamb as it has been slain, having 7 horns, power, and 7 eyes, sight, insight, and consciousness, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth." We see here, the book says the lamb has seven horns. Well, the horn of a creature such as a bull, the horn of a creature like a bull that's used for attack or defense. The horns of a bull is a projection of the bull's power. So horns represent power. So he had 7 horns. And then he has 7 eyes. What does this mean? Well, your eyes is the organism of your body by which you receive light. So the eyes of the lamb represents the sight, the insight, the consciousness of the lamb. Well, if the eyes represent the sight, insight, or consciousness of the lamb is described as having consciousness. It's having 7. Oh, the lamb is described as having 7 eyes or 7 levels of consciousness. Amen.
This is Minister Amaria Muhammad of the Nation of Islam, Allah's Temple Number 1. I'm presenting my Islamic presentation on millions of black people will die. The judgment is now 6/6. And this is part 1 of my continuation. Back to the judgment. In Africa right now, you have an Ebola breakout. They say that this disease has no cure. It's an incubation period, meaning the period of time that's in you, and you show now no signs of being sick in 3 weeks. Which means during the incubation period of 3 weeks, which you have no signs of Satanism, you can spread the disease for at a 3-week period before you even know you're sick, and they have no cure for it. This plague or disease broke out in West Africa, just out of nowhere. In Liberia, they have a quarantine, so many hundreds of thousands of people in a city that can't get out. You have people in a city in Liberia, Africa, who are allowed to leave because they said they are infected with Ebola. The book says that Satan will come down with a great wrath because he knows he has but a short time. The number 1 teaching that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us was the white man is the devil. And that's the number 1 problem that our people got with the messenger, is that teaching. Black pride, black power, the original people. But when you call the white man the devil, they don't want to hear it. Now in Africa, you have this Ebola thing that just happened. But what was going on in West Africa and Sierra Leone before this Ebola breakout? The research program occurring in Sierra Leone. The Republic of Guinea and Liberia, said to be the epicenter of the 2014 Ebola outbreak, has the announced purpose, among others, of protecting the future use of fever viruses as bioweapons. In 2009, researchers from the Army went to Africa to research hemorrhagic diseases. They said that they were doing experiments in Africa of a class of diseases that included Ebola. They didn't say, we're over here doing experiments on Ebola. They were doing experiments on the class of diseases by which Ebola was a member. Amen.
This is Minister Rebecca Rockman of the Nation of Islam, Allah Temple number 1. Today my presentation is Christ the Crusher, part 3 of 4. In this lecture, the Son of Man is giving us a description of who Christ is. In Isaiah 63, chapter 63, verse 1, it reads, Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Bozrah? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Verse 2, Wherefore art thou red in thy apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the winefat? Verse 3, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. Verse 4, For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeem is come. Verse 5, And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury is upheld me. And I will tread down the people in my anger, and make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to earth in this. Chapter 7. Here the prophet asks the Lord, Why is your garment red? And the Lord told him, That's the blood of those whom I will trodden down, when I take my vengeance on them, the wicked. In the day of vengeance and judgment, it's going to be covered in blood, because he's going to kill lots of people. In the book of Revelation, chapter 19, verse 1 reads, And I saw heaven open up, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and the righteousness he doeth judge and make war. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed in a vesture dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him up upon the white horse, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with the rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he have on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The description given here in Revelation and in Isaiah is like this. The destruction of the Lord is going to be so terrible. Just imagine how a winepress crushes everything that's fed into it. The name Christ, the crusher, is very fitting. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us the word Christ means crusher. Amen.
Thank you, Sister Rebecca.
Yes, sir.
We will now hear from the Son of Man.
The name of Allah who appeared and is in a person Master Farad Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Trust everyone's doing fine this Sunday afternoon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's good. One moment. I don't really have a lot to say today, other than observations of the time. I recently sent information. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Rafiq, if it should be that you can't hear me clearly, just let me know, because I'm gonna stop asking if you can hear me clearly. I'm just gonna I'm going to assume that I can be heard clearly if no one complains. So if I don't hear anybody say anything, I'm just gonna assume that everything's fine.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
A moment. So I sent a information out, concerning what's going on in the north, near the Arctic Circle. And I don't have it in front of me, but if memory serves me correctly, they said that 11 billion tons of ice melted in one day a few weeks ago. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
11 billion. That's a lot of ice. A ton is I believe a ton is 2,000 pounds. That's how much 1 ton is. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. And so if you got 11 billion tons of ice that's melted, that means, according to my math, that's 22 billion pounds, 22 billion pounds of, well, I don't know, that may not be right. Wait a minute. Let's see. One ton, let's do the math. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do the math simply. Well, if we add 3 zeros to a billion, do we not get a trillion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're looking at, so that's 22 trillion pounds of ice. Is my math correct, Rafiq? Could be off.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So they said in one day, 22 trillion pounds of ice melted in Greenland, or 11 billion tons, or 22 trillion pounds of water, of ice, went into the ocean in one day. Viewed another report just in Louisiana. They say every day, every 24 hours in Louisiana, every 24 hours, every day, Louisiana loses 100 yards of land due to the rising of the water. So every day that go by, Louisiana loses a football field of land, according to the report I came across. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I look at these things, I see these reports, and looking at it from a more global perspective, it just cannot be a coincidence that at the very same time that you have major catastrophic climate changes going on planet Earth, that at the very same time you have economic trouble visiting America, whereby they're telling you in a few years or whatever that the dollar's going to be worth nothing. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you mean to tell me that you have mainstream scientists, the United Nations, telling you that basically the world's going to end in 12 years or 10 years, and at the exact same time they're telling you that the world financial system is coming to an end at an end also? Does anybody think that's just mere coincidence?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it. I don't think it's coincidence. I don't think it's coincidence either. And so I'm looking at these things. One moment. 1 second. I'm looking at these things. All this change and destruction going on, and here and there I will tune into what these ministers and preachers are telling the people. You know, because for some reason I got this fantasy in my mind that somehow I'm going to tune in, and these people are going to be telling the people to worship and serve Master Farad Muhammad. And so I tunes in, I checks them out, and of course they doing everything but that. You have all this catastrophe going on around the world, and yet these people are not warning the people to bow and serve the God that's here and the God that's very angry with the world. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And just like you read today in Fall of America, and the day, one moment, in the days of Noah, they accused Noah of being a crazy person. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I thought about that. I said, And so I thought about basically everybody else that's out here teaching religion, especially Islam, to our people. And out of all the Muslim ministers in this country, I'm one of the few ministers. I wouldn't say the only, but I am a minister that the people, or that it is said of, that I'm crazy. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm not on my medication and all kind of things. So I'm accused of being crazy. Because I teach my children and my followers to pray and worship the Master Farad Muhammad. And the mere fact that these other ministers do not do that resoundingly in similar fashion that I do means that they consider what I'm doing incorrect. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I tunes into the Nation of Islam's meeting today with Minister Ishmael teaching. And, he's up there teaching. I want to make sure I get it, quote him right. I really couldn't believe my ears. He said that men and women are equal, and that one is not more superior than the other. That men and women are equal. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. Now, I'm gonna make myself abundantly clear. That is not the teachings of Islam. The Holy Quran tells you that men are the maintainers of women. You understand?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
That's written. It didn't say women are the maintainer of men. It didn't even say women are the maintainers of themselves. It says that men are the maintainers of women. Also, I believe the Quran states, I have to find it, but I'm kind of just talking to you. I believe it's, I may not be wording this correct, but the Quran, or it is written that because of the woman's weakness, that she is a degree lower than man. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I mean, am I somewhere in the ballpark, Sister Rebecca? Is that, have you come across that in the Quran too?
Yes, sir. I have.
Okay, because if you didn't, I was gonna find it. But since you bore witness, I'm not gonna bother to find it in the Quran. But it says the
Yes,
Quran
sir.
says that due to a woman's weakness, she is a degree lower than man. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And in terms of superiority, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't bite his tongue. He said that white people are not the superior of black people. He said black people are the superior of white people. He did not bite his tongue. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
He didn't say things just to tickle your ear or say things that he thought that the people wanted to hear. He simply told us the truth. Yet you got these so-called Muslim ministers out here teaching this nonsense. And so, I don't know what you call it. These old sissified men up there being apologetic for being a man and want to get in front of the world talking about men and women are equal. That man is not the woman superior. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Never be ashamed of who you are. No, a woman is not your equal. She is not equal in power with you. No, the black man has no equal on earth. There's no other man the equal of the black man. The black man is the superior man on the planet. There's not another man more superior in power than the black man. That's Islam. That's the teaching. We are not all equal. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you something. There ain't gonna be no voting in the hereafter. There's not gonna be no democracy. You're not gonna have no vote. You're gonna be told what to do by God. And by God, I mean the black man. Because according to my understanding, Allah in the person Master Prophet Muhammad is not going to be in that form for eternity. He's one day going to die. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And the gods that will be running this planet and universe will be other black men. There ain't no voting. It's a kingdom. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's the way of women. Women are democratic. Women do things by vote. Women, that's the way of women. Voting and what you think and what the group gonna do. That's not the nature of man. The nature of a man is not democratic. Man is a god. Man is dictator. Not democrat, he's dictator. He dictates. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you you ain't gonna marry no woman, get children, and have a democracy in your household? You gonna ask your children what do they think? What do y'all vote we do? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
That's not the way a house is run. And if you know anything about mathematics, if a function is discontinuous on any level, no matter how small, if the function is discontinuous at any point, the entire function is discontinuous. Ain't that right, Rafiq?
Yes, sir.
So if your household cannot be efficiently run like a democracy where everybody, the men, the women, and the children in your house got a vote, if that's not the way your household is run, neither should that be the way your nation is run. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
There ain't no voting. When the 23 scientists and when the 24 scientists come together or came together every 25,000 years to write history, 23, according to the messenger, will go through the work of, getting up the history of the nation, and the 24th will act as judge, whom we call Allah. The 24th scientist is Allah, the judge, the one who has the final word. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
God standing in the congregation of the mighty. He may take that counsel. He may take advice. He may listen to what you have to say. But there ain't no voting. Allah dictates what happens. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ain't no voting. Wasn't no voting with Yaqub on the island to make white people. That was a dictate from Allah. He didn't ask your opinion. That was not a vote. Islam is not a democracy. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And let me tell you something else about this ridiculous heathenistic teaching that these so-called Muslims are making. Is it not every woman's deepest desire to have a man to take care of her?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's her deepest. That's on her deepest level. She wants to get married because she wants a man to take care of her. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The mere fact that that's in her nature, the mere fact that that's one of her greatest desires, is to have a man to take care of her and the children, tells you that even she knows that she's not your equal. She knows that she don't have the last word in that situation. Do you understand?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Anyway, so you have trillions and trillions of pounds of water, or 11 billion tons of water, in one day melting. Worldwide, the oceans are rising every minute of the day. Worldwide, they're telling you within 50 years there won't even be a Miami, Florida, according to them. I don't know about you, but it's been pretty hot lately.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
understand?
Yes, sir.
And guess what? It's going to be even hotter next year. Why? Because there is less ice in the north to reflect the sunlight. So instead of I already taught on this. See, like I said, I taught on this last year. So I'm starting to repeat myself. I'm going to say this. I'm going to cut this short. Like I said, I really have nothing else to say. I'm really preaching at this point, meaning I'm repeating what I've taught. It's called preaching, not teaching. It's preaching. When you preach, you reteach. That's called preaching. So, you know, you got all this ice melt. You got 11 billion tons of ice that's gone in one day. And according to what they say, in the month of July or June, I think it was July, over 200 billion tons of ice melted in July. That's what they saying. 200 billion tons of ice is not there. So next year on the equinox in March, when the sun rises again, because the sun's about to set in the Arctic Circle, it's August. So that means approximately on September 20th, the sun is going to go down in the North Pole for the next 6 months. But that's not really that's really not saying a lot because so much ice has melted. So therefore, when the sun rises again in 2020, it's going to reappear again in the north with significantly less ice. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that means instead of all those thousands and thousands of square miles of ice reflecting the sunlight back into space, the sunlight is going to be absorbed by the dark water. Do you understand?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
They lost basically the crops for this year. I mean, I don't know if you can get an honest answer on how much crop loss the U.S. has suffered this year, but it's significant. You know, so you have you have all these things going on. You have rising sea levels. You have the planet. You have global warming, and you have more and more homeless people. Why am I mentioning homeless people? Because that's about to increase more and more also. Why? Because they keep printing money. They keep printing money by the trillions. If they're printing money, where is all that money going? When they print this money, the first people that get it are the rich people. And what these rich people do, they take that newly printed money and they go and they buy apartments and houses. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And when they buy these apartments and houses, you have like certain people own, for instance, where Sister Rebecca lived, this white man claimed to be Cuban, but he ain't nothing but a devil. He owned one man owned multiple households. He owned houses upon houses upon houses. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Charging everybody in a house for one rinky-dink room $500 and $600 inside of a house. When I was growing up, you could get that same house, the whole house, for half that. And I'm young. When I was growing up, I lived in a home for $200-$300 a month. Now you spend $500-$600 for a room inside of a house. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This cannot go on. I got 2 children that start in college in a few days. It is 2019. Let's say they take whatever four-year college education they're going to take. This is my grim prediction. Quite frankly, I don't think they're going to graduate. I don't know if they're even going to be in Louisiana by 2023. That's number one. Number two, if they're lucky to graduate in 4 or 5 years, 2023, 2024, with the current situation of the economy, they're not with college degrees. They're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to by themselves move out on their own. That thing that my generation and Sister Rebecca's generation did, that's over with. In Sister Rebecca's generation, you don't even have to graduate from high school and get married and raise a family. Ain't that right?
Yes, sir.
Now you can't graduate from college and support yourself. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You know, often I forget when it happened, but my son Kamal, somebody asked a question about where we gonna live, and my son Kamal said, "Well, we all gonna live in the same house, a palace, and we're gonna do this and that." And you know, when people hear that, oh, y'all all gonna stay in the same house or a big home like the Jacksons or like the Royals in Britain, yeah. But the thing is, my children may have the impression that they have a choice. Like, okay, we're going to do what Dad say. We're going to decide. We're going to live together and do this and that. But what I'm trying to tell you, you're not even going to have a choice. And if you think I'm lying, go ahead and go to college, and when you graduate in 4 years, if you can find a job, show me the house, show me Rafiq's house, show me Daeem's house, show me Kamal's house in this country. They're not going to have one on their own because of the economy. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's not hard to see. Your mother is almost a doctor, and you stay in a trailer. She's right. A nurse practitioner is near a doctor. I don't know what's between. Let somebody know somebody. Can somebody tell me what profession is between a doctor and a nurse practitioner? Anybody? Can somebody tell me? Because I don't know.
They're basically the same.
Huh?
They are basically the same.
No, I don't want to hear that. So basically you're telling me that there is no profession between the next level above a nurse practitioner is a doctor. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. With Sister Rebecca's generation, if Sister Rebecca's mother was a nurse practitioner, Sister Rebecca would have grew up practically in a mansion. Ain't that right, Sister Rebecca?
Yes, sir.
Because of the money.
Yes, sir.
So the dollar is becoming weaker and weaker and weaker. Did you know that the average college graduate take engineering? The average starting salary is approximately $35,000, $40,000 a year. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you realize that if you're not making $80,000 a year for a family of 4, you are below the poverty line? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
That means if one of my sons graduates from college, gets a bachelor degree and gets a job and making $40,000 or even $50,000 a year, He cannot get married and have a family unless his wife is working because he can't afford it with $50,000 a year. You got to be making at least 80 grand to get married and have children. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And I'm talking about right now. Prices are going up right now. Prices are going up. But wages are not. So that means that the money that you're going to be making potentially in 4 to 5 years is going to be worth even less than it is today. In 5 years, that number 80,000 may go to 100,000. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In other words, there is no future in this country. It's not there. It's not there. And that's the other thing. Even these people with these quote unquote recession proof jobs like nurses, doctors, they're about to have a problem because Social Security and Medicaid is running out of money. And you got the baby boomers more, and I don't know all the numbers, but baby boomers are entering retirement ages by the thousands every month. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And they already can't afford these medical expenses. So it's going to be hard for me. What I'm about to tell you next is going to be hard to believe. But within a few short years, they're going to be laying off doctors and nurses because they ain't going to have the money to pay them. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Or let me put it like this, or their wages are going to drop. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because the same thing they're doing with real estate in the housing market, they're doing with hospitals. People that don't even practice medicine own the hospitals. Call them HMOs. And these people that don't even help the sick and elderly, they're making millions and millions of dollars a year because they own the hospital. They set the prices. They have stock in the pharmaceutical company. They're the rich. So they're going to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze the poor and the elderly until there's nothing left to squeeze. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And there is no political resolve in this country to change anything. I'm trying to give you reality.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm trying to do. I am trying to give you reality. This country is finished. And not just America, the planet actually, the whole world. This whole global system of thing is really finished. But even economically, they're finished. They're done. So the next few years, you're going to be hearing about people from New York, Florida, Louisiana, Texas, California, Alaska, because of rising ocean water, moving more and more inland. You understand?
Yes, sir.
They call them climate refugees. There's going to be less land to live on, and there's going to be less food grown on the remaining land. And if I'm not mistaken, there's close to 8 billion people on planet Earth now. 8 billion. And there is less and less food to eat. So, on a personal note, I was trying to, not that I seen all of this, but I was trying to back in when I was Daim age, when I was Daim and Rafiq age, I joined Muslims because to prepare for a time like this of great hardship, and I thought I was with somebody that was trying to prepare for this kind of time. That I made a mistake. It seemed to make sense to me to buy land and learn how to farm and learn how to can and store your food and become, get some solar panels and become a little more independent in case things go left. And once I woke up, so to speak, and found out that the situation I am, that wasn't what it was, when I came around to do that, the economy tanked in 2009. When I woke up, this country economically was upside down. And now it's 2019. And like the scripture says, I looked, and behold, there was none to help, but my fury upheld me. Why say fury? Because I'm kind of furious that all these so-called Muslims are not worshiping the God that Elijah Muhammad revealed to us. That makes me furious because our people are headed to hell in a handbasket. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, I may have to find it again, but even the most honorable Elijah Muhammad made mention of this. I have to find it again. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm just having a chit-chat with you, so to speak. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad on one of these tapes, I have to find it, but he made mention that the devil would get about three-fourths of the people to go to hell with him. 3/4. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
It's on one of them tapes. The way he said it, that the devil brags that he's going to take 3/4 of the people with him. And he was teaching, but he didn't say the devil was lying, or he didn't say that's not true. He just kind of just dropped it out there like the devil says he's going to get 3/4 people. And he was just talking. Usually when the devil makes a boast, something like that, the messenger will quickly tell you what the real is. Like the devil talk about he can destroy the planet 30 times over. Then the messenger, if he tell you that, the messenger would tell you something like, well, that he's not going to be able to do that because Allah is not going to allow him, blah, 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 blah. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But when he threw that figure out, the devil brags that he's going to get 3/4 of the people to go to hell with him. The messenger, according to my recollection of the text, he did not disagree. Of course, the book of Revelation tells you that only 144,000 came out. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, let's say, let's say by the time all of this goes down, you got close to 8 billion people on the planet. Let's just, to make it a round number, let's just call it 10, we'll call it 8 billion. 3/4. That means 6 billion people are going to die by today's count, by those figures. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And that's conservative considering what the book of Revelation says, about 144,000 people. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And let me tell you something else. As I'm talking, I really didn't even intend to even say what I'm about to say. I said it before. I'm going to say this and I'm going to close it. When I'm looking at all these reports of all these people I say to myself, I was like, how this is what I'm trying to convey to you. How are these people going to worship Allah in the person Master Farah Muhammad? What I'm saying is, when you think about any other nation on the planet, whether they're Chinese, whether they're Arabs, or whoever they are, even if you're already a Muslim in Arabia, the messenger said that those Muslims are going to join with the devil to fight against us. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So they're not exactly ready to bow down to a black god. They're not exactly ready to worship Master Farah Muhammad. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Well, the book tells you that in that day it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord, the same shall be saved. I mean, there's about 8 billion people on the planet. Let's talk about right now, today. How many people on planet Earth today, out of 8 billion, do you think call on Master Farah Muhammad as of now?
In the thousands, I say.
Below 100,000.
Below 100,000, anyone else?
A couple tens?
What?
Like a couple tens.
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?
Like dozens.
Oh, what did it say? What do you mean a couple tens? Does not the book tell you that as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it also be in the days of the Son of Man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's I have to admit something to you all. This stuff is kind of grim. I admit to you, this is kind of grim and very depressing. Even to me. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Whether or not the story of Noah is really a prophecy, whether or not that's true, let's look at what they say happened. According to the story of Noah, basically the whole planet drowned. He was the only one that made it because he had the ark. Everybody else drowned. He took 2 of every kind, put it on a boat. Him, his children, and their wives, they got on a boat, and everybody else died. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So when you look at the story of Noah, you're looking at death and destruction on a global scale. So what we can take from the story of Noah is that basically everybody on the planet got killed except a few people. And by a few people, like his family. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And the book, and this is what Jesus said. 2,000 years ago, you would think I was making this up, but Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. Do you understand?
Yes,
sir.
That's kind of scary. We really don't give it the regard we should because, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. People say that and don't give it a second thought. But do you understand how frightening and devastating that statement is?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you go to a Christian and you ask any Christian, how many people died in the days of Noah, they will probably tell you, well, we don't know how many people died, but we can tell you how many people got saved and everybody else died. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you had Noah, his 3 sons, their wives. See, that's 6, 7. So about 12, 15, about 12 or 15 people, maybe, right?
Yes, sir.
So what we can take from the days of Noah is that we can get an idea about how many people are going to be saved and about how many people are going to die. Because he said, as it was, so it's going to be something like the days of Noah. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So when we think about that, now we can understand why when the messenger said that the devil's going to take 3/4 of the people with him, now we understand why the messenger didn't disagree. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I really, it's really kind of hard for me to really grasp if you really understand me, because generally when a teacher or a minister teaches, he's looking at people. I can't see none of your faces. I really don't know the impact that my words are having upon you. I don't know because I'm not looking at you. I don't know what's on your faces when I see your little clips, and I don't know that. Kamal might send me a funny picture or a wow, but I can't see his face when I send him a clip. About 11 billion tons of ice have melted. I can't see your face. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I really don't know if you understand and appreciate the magnitude of what I am talking about.
Yes, sir.
It should be very easy to see why people will say I'm crazy, because Minister Kevin Muhammad, Minister Yaqub said that, basically, he's the only one worshiping Master Muhammad, him and his children, and a sister that's with him. So Minister Yaqub seems to think that basically him and about no more than 10 people gonna make it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That nigga crazy. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, all right. Well, let's do a body count. How many people made it in the day of Noah? You can just give me a good guess. Don't worry about me biting your head off. About how many people made it on Noah's Ark?
Less than 100.
Wait, like 10 or 8? Like 10 through 15. Well,
20.
No, you ain't gotta make. That's too gross. Noah only had 3 sons, right?
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And his sons, we're gonna assume that his sons had wives, right?
Yes, sir.
How many people is that?
That is 6.
That's 6. That's 6 people, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna assume that Noah got a wife. That makes 8, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And let's assume, because we don't know, but we're just gonna say that every one of Noah's children had at least one son. How many people is that?
11 is 11.
Now remember, the Bible don't tell you about Noah's grandchildren. It just tells you about Noah's sons and their wives. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So basically, we're looking at between 7 and 11 people. And everybody else on planet Earth died. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
let's just say in the days of Noah there was 3 billion people. Let's say let's just say a billion. Or whatever number you want to come up with. Let's just say a half billion, whatever you want to call it. We'll say a billion. According to the Bible, if there was a billion people here when Noah was here, that means only seven to maybe a dozen people made it out, and a billion people were gone. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. How many people made it out with Lot? Sodom and Gomorrah. How many people made it out the cities?
4.
You got Lot, right?
Yes, sir.
I think Lot had 2 daughters, Sister Rebecca? Huh?
Yes, sir.
I don't think they were even married because he offered his daughters to the Sodomites. I don't think them daughters were even married, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, we can say that they had husbands, but I don't think they were even married because when them Sodomites came to rape those angels, Lot offered to him his daughter and said, do that with my daughter, but not with these men. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I don't think Lot would have the authority to give his daughter to some other man if his daughter was married. He would no longer have that authority. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, as it was in the days of Lot, so shall it be also in the days when the Son of Man is revealed. Well, you had Lot, his daughter, and Lot's wife didn't even make it. You had 4, and his wife turned back. So, about 3, maybe 4 people with Lot, and everybody else in that city was taken out. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And it just didn't say Sodom. It says Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, conservatively, we can assume that in each city, I don't know, maybe you had about 25,000, 50,000. Maybe there was 100,000 people around. Maybe, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you got about 2 or 3 out of thousands gone, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, if millions, what I'm trying to tell you is, if millions and millions of people were going to make it out, then the story of Noah and the story of Lot would not be that great of a comparison, considering how many people made it as to how many died. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the book tells you, as it was in the days of Noah, and as it was in the days of Lot, so shall it be also when the Son of Man is revealed. So I'm looking at the news. They said, I think it was Iran, they running out of groundwater. They say the aquifers are drying up. I'm looking at billions and billions of tons of ice fall in the ocean. I'm looking at documentaries where people in Miami, Florida are moving right now. Parts of Louisiana are going underwater every day. The economy is going under. I know. You're going to get off this phone. Some people may even tell my children, your daddy just crazy. You're going to go to school. You're going to get a college education. Everything going to be fine. Don't pay your daddy no attention. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What do y'all think? Do you really I don't want to ask this question. Do you think my money said I don't think Rafiq or Naeem is going to graduate from college. I don't think they're going to be able to finish school by 2023 to 2024. I don't even think they're going to be able to graduate. Now, what say you? What do you think? What do you say about what I just said?
I'm kind of say they will, but they won't at the same time because I don't really know.
Dang, what you think?
That's not a question I can accurately answer, but if I were to answer it, I would say that there's a possibility that we won't graduate.
Do you think that when you graduate, you'll be able to get your own place?
Not by myself.
Okay. What say you, Rafi?
The first question or the second one?
Oh.
The only way I see us not graduating is if more natural disasters come and stop us from continuing that. And I don't think that's out of the question. And there is no way we're going to get our own places.
Now, just remember, time tells all. So just remember, a few years ago, when I told you that the world was going to end by 2032, nobody believed me. Emotions. They ain't like, I don't believe that. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Just remember. This is not what I said. This is what the scientists say about your state. They say that the state of Louisiana loses 100 yards of land every day. 100 yards of Louisiana goes underwater every day. And you are going to college and school in Louisiana. Do you see what I'm trying? You see what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, just remember, on my website, at the bottom, there's a link. Donate if you want some homes, houses, and a land of our own. Donate to the War of Christ. Donate to the Son of Man. No donations. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Just like when Noah was here, nobody helped him build that ark. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So they would go and look at Noah work on this boat, on this ark, and they would just laugh. They would go and it would be something to go do, to go watch this fool build a boat in the middle of land, talking about it's gonna rain. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You got this fool named Kevin talking about Master Muhammad God, and there's a mother plane, and as far as he's concerned, the mothership gonna come get him. Ha ha ha! Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now here's a math problem for Rafiq. The mother plane is 1/2 mile by 1/2 mile in dimension. It's a 1/2 mile wide long, and it's a 1/2 mile. It's a 1/2 mile wide, 1/2 mile long. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, if your personal space, if one's personal space between, is considered to be 3 feet, that means 3 feet completely surrounding you is considered your personal space. If you take a 1/2 mile by 1/2 mile and calculate how many people can comfortably fit on the mothership at that dimension, of 3 feet of personal space, you will come up with the number accommodative, particularly to 144,000 people. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I bet you never even heard another Muslim man even talk like that.
No,
Is that
sir.
right, Sister Rebecca?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Now, just remember, I told you, ain't no crops growing, and the land is going away. The economy is sinking, and there's catastrophic climate change going around. I told you all of this, and still, nobody's giving me one red penny to do nothing. Okay. No problem. No problem. No problem at all. Son of Man must suffer many things and what? Be rejected. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, as far as I'm concerned, ain't none of y'all, ain't nobody on this planet got to believe in Master Farad Muhammad. Ain't nobody got to believe in that mothership or nothing else. But know this. The land is, the water is rising and the land is disappearing. Ain't no more food growing. And it's getting hotter and hotter by the day. So I don't know where these disbelievers are going to be. I don't know what their plan is. But I will freely tell you my plan. My plan is to seek refuge in Allah. My plan is to seek refuge in Master Farad Muhammad. My plan is to obey and make sure I am exactly where Allah wants me to be. That's my plan. And if that's not your plan, I suggest that becomes your plan. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because in a few more days, your mama not gonna have to drive to Texas to get to the water. It's gonna be right. Only thing she's gonna have to do is walk outside in her backyard, and she's gonna have all the water to play in. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, Rafi.
Do we have any questions or comments before we close our Sunday school?
Yes, sir. I would like to say that I enjoyed everybody's reading the presentations today, and I would also like to thank the Son of Man for sharing more of his wisdom with us this afternoon. Thank you.
I hope that this Son of Man speaks with the Muhammad Children gets published. I really hope that I'd be able to rewatch it. Thank you, everybody. That's all I want to say.
I would like to say thank you all for your reading and presentations. They were wonderful. And thank you, Son of Man, for again enlightening us on the day and time that we live in. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for their readings and presentations, and thank you, especially Son of Man, for his words again today. Thank you.
And I, too, would like to thank the Son of Man for the lecture given today. If there are no other questions or comments, we will close the Sunday school with the Muhammad Children giving their Farad prayers and their meditations to Master Farad Muhammad, starting with Amaria.
Surely I've turned myself to being a bright tomb, who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayers, my sacrifices, and my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the world. No soul should have seen, and this is my commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against falsehood, and guide me to the best of morals. For none guides to the best of thee, and turn away from me the evil morals of thee. Amen. The Lord is my shepherd, I want not. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life, and I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Surely I have turned myself and become upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayers, my sacrifices, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the world. No associate has he, and this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults with thee. And guides me to the best of morals. For none guides to the best of them but thee, and turns away from me the evil morals with thee. Amen. The Lord is my shepherd, I want not. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with thee. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life, and I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Surely I have turned myself, being upright to him, who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, Lord of the worlds. No associates has he, and this is my commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults with thee. And guide me to the best of morals, for none guides to the best of them with thee, and turns away from me the evil morals with thee. The Lord is my shepherd, I want not. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life, and I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
In the name of Allah, who appeared and is in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.
I thought.
Walaikum salam.
Hold on a second.
Everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I had muted myself out when I was talking before we ended the meeting. I wanted to make myself clear. The statement I made about my children, about y'all not graduating from college, that statement was not made in fun or made to make things hopeless. The statement was made to let you know the seriousness of the time we're in. I am not telling you that I think you may or may not graduate college, for you not to go to college, and for you not to better yourself. By all means, we're going to make the best of our lives, the best of our situation while we are here. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to give up and go curl up in the corner and wait to die. That's not what I'm saying. The point of me making that statement is because the point of me making a statement was because I can make the statement. Meaning, the mere fact that such a statement can be made and you take it half serious tells you how serious of a time we are living in. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That was the point. I don't want you to go out here thinking of that, so we're not going to, why, because you may make it matter, why even go to school? I'm not going to graduate, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So the point is not to get you not to go to school. That's ridiculous. No, what I'm trying to tell you, throughout the week, all of you get information from me, whether it's a newspaper article or video, letting you know what's going on around us. So when I said you may not graduate from college, that's based on based on what's going on. What I'm trying to say is based on everything. Times are so serious. Times are so catastrophic that it may come to, things are getting so bad. My life may not be, my plans or my goals may change in 3 to 4 and 5 years. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
It was not said for you to give up and have a loser's mentality. No, I'm just the reason that I want to make myself clear. The reason why I said that is to basically emphasize how serious of a time that we are living in. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's the point. That's the point. I don't want you going out of here with the wrong attitude. That's not the point. The point I'm making to you is times are serious. Times are very serious. This thing about the food shortages. I mean, the mere fact you can't go you can't go in Walmart and get a can of salmon under $5 or $6. That should tell you something. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm trying to emphasize to you. We are in serious times. Serious. So, one moment. One moment. 1 second. Turn to the book of Luke, chapter 17.
Got it.
1 second.
Got it.
Rafiq, read the 29th through the 36th verse.
But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. In that day he which shall be put upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away, and he that is in the field, let him likewise not turn back. Remember Lot's wife. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. And I tell you, in that night there shall be 2 men in one bed, the one shall be taken, and the other shall be left. 2 women shall be grinding together, the one shall be taken, the other left. 2 men shall be in the same field, one shall be taken, and the other left.
Now, this is what I was trying to convey to you. When it says that 2 men should be in the field, 2 men should be in the bed, 2 women grinding together, and a man on the rooftop, another man in the field. What Jesus is telling you that in that day, be ready to move. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just because you're going to college, I'm going to be an engineer, whatever. You got to be ready to move when God calls you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So when I say that you may not graduate, what I'm trying to say is Allah may call us. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And it's not me saying it, it's Jesus saying it in the Bible. Believe me, those 2 men working in the field had plans to do whatever. The man that's on the top of his house, probably thinking about going in the house and sitting down having a glass of lemonade. But Jesus said that in that day, that if you're on the roof of your own house, get off your house and just run. Don't even go back in your own house to get nothing. Move. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Jesus said, remember Lot's wife. Why? Because Lot's wife looked back, meaning she thought about how great it was in Sodom. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if you're, for example, if you're in college, you got these dreams of being an engineer, a doctor, a teacher, whatever it is, and the messenger of God or Allah calls you. Why did it say remember Lot's wife? You may in your mind think about like, man, I'm not quitting school. To do what? No, I gotta graduate first. I can't just leave school. Right? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Two men shall be in the field. The one shall be taken, the other left. What do we call medicine? Don't we call it the field of medicine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The field of engineering? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The field of chemistry? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
The field of law? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
2 men shall be in the field. It doesn't necessarily mean a field of wheat. It could be your career, the field of endeavor. One shall be taken, the other shall be left. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
This is what I'm trying to get over to you. The day and time that you're living in, we are in a serious time. This is the end of this situation. So don't get so caught up and hung up on the dreams and aspirations of other people, of what people of this world tell you. Put your heart and your mind on Allah and what Allah wants you to do. Not what your mama, your grandmama, or anybody else wants you to do. It's what Allah wants you to do. You listen to the voice of Allah. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because if you don't, according to what you're reading in this Bible, which was written before you or I were even born, if you are not ready to heed the call of God, to heed the call of Allah, you will be left. And you don't want to be left here. Believe me. Because all hell's about to break loose in this country. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Salam.